Under torsdagen utbröt protester och våldsamheter på Dublins gator efter en knivattack ägt rum utanför en skola på Parnell Square East. En knivbeväpnad man attackerade 5 personer, varav en 5-årig flicka och en kvinna som nu sägs befinna sig i kritiskt tillstånd. Enligt uppgifter till Riks utfördes attacken av en migrant från Algeriet. Attacken har skapat stor oro och ilska bland det irländska folket, vilket har lett till upplopp och våldsamma konfrontationer med polisen. Även irländska MMA-stjärnan Conor McGregor har reagerat på händelsen på sociala medieplattformen X, där han bland annat sa: "Jag tolererar inte gårdagens upplopp." Han sa också: "Jag förstår dock frustrationerna. Jag förstår att ett steg måste tas för att säkerställa att den förändring vi behöver inleds och snabbt." Riks har intervjuat Hermann Kelly, president för det irländska högersinnade Frihetspartiet, för att få veta mer om den aktuella situationen. Thank you for being here today.
My pleasure, Rebecca. Thanks for the invite.
Could you briefly tell us what's happening right now in Ireland?
So on Thursday, 2 adults and 3 children were stabbed by an Algerian national on a street very close to the biggest street in Ireland, in the centre of Dublin. One of the children and one of the adult woman is severely in critical condition. And when news came out that it was an Algerian national who stabbed these people, there was riots broke out on Thursday evening, and there was pretty serious rioting throughout central Dublin and there was quite a lot of damage. Now, it's in the context, we have since learned that the Algerian migrant, he was supposed to be deported 20 years ago, but he spent 5 years appealing the deportation order. He got to stay, and eventually he got Irish citizenship. He was also in a charge of knife possession and damaging a car in May, and yet he got off on mental health grounds. And it's also just a week after the end of a criminal trial of the murder of a young, beautiful Irish girl called Aisling Murphy in the centre of Ireland by a Slovak Roma. Once again, he stabbed her 11 times in the neck. The details came out in the case, which were hidden by the press, Irish press, before this. And this Slovak Roma, himself and his family, came to Ireland, lived in Ireland for 10 years, never worked a single day in his life, got a free house, free welfare, free medical care, exactly like the Algerian. The Algerian was in Ireland for 20 years and never worked a single day. So these people are coming to Ireland as welfare tourists, getting free stuff as best they can. And how do they thank us? By stabbing our children in the neck and in some cases, killing them. So there is a real justified anger at what happened, a righteous anger that Irish people have every right to be angry at the incompetence or corruption of the Irish government to allow these large number of unvetted males coming into our country. We don't know who they are, where they're from, do they have a criminal record, will they do us harm to our children, and that's not good enough.
So naturally, people have been very angry, and from what I understand, they've stormed the place where this happened, the school, as well as the streets. And
well, I don't think they were at the barricades where the crime scene took place. I don't think they stormed the school, but there was quite about 200 guys, young men, rioting on Thursday night through central Dublin. There was looting as well. I don't think that was done by Irish people, but the rioting certainly was. And now I grew up in the north of Ireland during the Troubles. There's bullet holes at the side of our house, the front of our house. There used to be riots outside our house during the hunger strikes for about a year solid every day. So I'm well used to political violence, but because of my experience, I'm very opposed to political violence, and I've spoken against the violence. But there is certainly a righteous anger that people thinking, well, why is our country, why are our children unsafe? And why are we going out to work to keep these people in an easy life? People who have never worked. It's just disgraceful, really.
It is to our understanding that Ireland has previously had more of a positive migration policy. As a result of this, is this going to change?
Well, as members of the EU, we have EU open borders and free movement for 440 million across the EU. Our population has increased by 42% since 1995. Like from 3.5 million to 3.6 million people to 5.1 million people in less than 30 years. So there's been a huge increase in population. According to official statistics, which they admit themselves aren't accurate because illegal people who come in here illegally do not fill in census forms. But even legally, the state would say there's 20% of our population are non-Irish national. And many of those, to give you an example of how many people are coming in, last year, social security numbers given out to new people, there was 305,000 in total. Only 69,000 went to Irish people and 237,000 went to non-Irish people. So that's almost 250,000 in 1 year. Now, not all those people will stay, but it gives you an idea of an influx. And there's a great disparity. There's 69,000 Irish people got social security numbers. There's also 69,000 Ukrainian people. 39% of whom are young males, got social security number. The difference between the two groups of 69,000 is that Ukrainian nationals have an automatic right to access to housing, to a medical card and welfare, but Irish people do not. What is that? That's unfair.
The police have pointed out far-right extremists in these demonstrations. Is this...
Well, yeah, the police don't know that. The police are saying this. The police commissioner is put in as a political agent. He's speaking about the political beliefs of people. It's not really his job is to apply the law, not to talk about people's political beliefs. But he doesn't know these are guys going around in balaclavas and hoodies. He doesn't know who they are. He doesn't know what their beliefs are. There was 33 guys charged with unrest or affray or whatever. One of them has a completely Muslim name. How does he know his political views? I don't know his political views. There's about 100 people who are far right in Ireland who are interested about the colour, about Jews, about the colour of people. It's a very culturally insignificant, numerically petite number of people who could be classed as far right. Vast majority of people who are very concerned about the safety of the children and the security of the country. They're just concerned parents. And look, there's been a huge... Look, EU membership means that we're in a political union. We don't have ultimate control of our laws anymore. We have no control or very little control over the borders of Ireland. And even the budget in 2013, the Irish budget was seen and approved in the committees of the German Bundestag before it was even seen in Dublin. So, our national democracy has been washed away and our political sovereignty has been removed. And that's not a very nice place to find yourself about now that you don't have control of your own affairs, and we don't have the right to... Well, if we don't have the right to control our own borders, we're no longer a proper country in the proper sense. And what we're looking for at the Irish Freedom Party, we're a nationalist, Eurosceptic party who wants to take back control of the main things and be a normal country, control of our laws, our budgets on our borders, that we can be a normal country and that our children can be safe. And I don't think that's too much to ask.
So what could happen henceforth as a result of this?
Well, you know what, there's been rumours that the child may have died. There's ballards going up around government buildings all day yesterday. So people are asking, why are they doing these very unusual security measures? Are they preparing for news to come out? I don't know. But there is a growing political, like the Irish Freedom Party, there's 3 constituencies for the European election. In Ireland, we have 3 candidates, and myself, I'm also a candidate in the European election. So there will be the growth of nationalist sentiment. There has been over the last 5 years. It's been growing increasingly, and that will. So the future of Ireland will be more nationalist and democratic than it has been up until the last number of years, where we do have the problem in the press, as in Sweden, in my experience, that the press are very anti-nationalist, they're very left-wing, anti-nationalist. That's also the case in Ireland, but well, we have to overcome that, and we do it through social media quite a lot. And actually, the experience and the events of Sweden come up a lot in Ireland. Sweden is brought up as an example, I'm sorry to say, as a country whose example we don't want to follow when it comes to immigration, because the extent of immigration is so high in Sweden, and the crime rate, sexual assaults. We are experiencing what you've already had. So we look at Sweden and think, we really don't want to go there. So I have been to Sweden. It's a very, very nice people, but we don't have the same experiences of immigration and criminality and sexual assault that have already occurred in Sweden.
Thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much.